Good. Good afternoon, everybody. We are Team 5. We're going to be talking to you guys about Chapter 10, Lincoln on Leadership. My name is Jesse. This is Jeff, Will, Tian, Simi in the back, and Michael. And let's get started. We're going to start with a little video clip for you guys today. It's actually from the movie Lord of the Rings, and I think most of you guys will recognize it. So here we go.
I can't do this, Sam. I know. It's all wrong. By rights, we shouldn't even be here. But we are. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Furl. The ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because after the end, you'd be happy. How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow, even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. That meant something. Even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Furl, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. Because they were holding on to something. What are we holding on to, Sam? There's some good in this world, Mr. Furl. And it's worth fighting.
Alright, we do realize this is a fairly corny scene in the movie, but we figured the whole movie itself is kind of a very good demonstration of some of the major points that Lincoln gets across in this chapter, which you'll hear more discussed later, but it kind of unites them around a goal of just pushing on forward and not just letting this be a half done, you got to finish the job kind of mentality. And I mean, Sam really does a good job of picking up other people and uniting them around a corporate kind of, I guess you could say corporate culture, but in this case it's kind of taken to the extreme. But Jeff's going to elaborate more on some of these principles and take it away.
Alright guys, so one of the first things they talk about in this chapter is that to be an effective leader you have to have a corporate mission. Kind of what this is like a long-term end result goal. This is important because goals unify, motivate, and help a group focus on the task at hand. In Lincoln's situation, his corporate mission was to free the slaves as well as preserve the Union. And one thing that he realized is to do this, it takes a very long period of time. So in the meantime, you have to set short-term goals along the way to kind of stay focused and intend to get to that long-term goal. So for example, let's say our group's corporate mission would be to all get A's in this class. Our short-term goals would be to meet so many times a week, get these specific grades on assignments, and that would help us stay focused on the way. And Will's going to talk to you a little bit more on how to get to these goals.
Another concept that we pulled out of this chapter from Lincoln was an idea of something or nothing, which is looking at what you have in front of you and working on solving that problem, not worrying about how things could be different or how you could attack the problem differently if you had other options. This was demonstrated by Lincoln when a general came to him and was complaining that he'd only been placed in charge of 3,000 men. Lincoln replied to him by telling him that a man who accomplishes something at the head of one group eclipses the man who does something at the head of 100 groups. So this kind of just reiterates the point that focus on what you can do to get towards the larger goal. Don't worry about anything else, just do your job. And another point that we pulled out is this kind of idea of going around. this is going around obstacles that gum up the works, to put it one way, or things that take so much attention and energy to solve them that they actually slow you down and prevent you from getting to your larger goal. Again, Lincoln used a story to explain this to some of his subordinates. He told the story of an old farmer who had a field with tons and tons of stumps in it, but he really wanted to cultivate it. And he worked at it for a while, and finally he had a very good-looking field, and a man came by and asked him how he was able to cultivate such a rough spot. And he explained that in a lot of places there were small, weak stumps that he was able to root out and work the soil well, and in other places he just went around and worked on what he could. Again, this is kind of all tying back into there's a larger goal or larger purpose that you're focusing on getting to and not letting other smaller things distract you. Now Tian's going to tell you a little bit more.
So Lincoln's really result-oriented person, but in order to be a result-oriented person, it's really important for us to develop a sense of urgency in terms of taking advantage of time that you have on a daily basis. Lincoln actually demonstrated a great urgency in taking advantage of the time of what he has. During his terms in the office, he worked all day, really exhausting hours. But one thing that he always tell his fellows is that delay is ruinous and time is everything. Time is everything is what Lincoln really believes in. He really believes in that doing what you can most today and leave something, leave the things you can't finish for tomorrow, and not leave the things you can't finish for tomorrow. Is what I mean. And other than and I really can personally relate to this story. Is that the one conversation I had with my uncle is when I was asking about the young people today, and he told me that the problem with the young people today is we always procrastinate. We think we have a plan, just leave that plan for what we can do for tomorrow. But there's no need to plan for tomorrow. Think about what you're gonna do tomorrow morning when you wake up. There's really no need to procrastinate unless you just don't waste time. And other than the mentality of thinking time as a really precious source that we have, and is also to be persevered, to keep on fighting when we're trying to achieve our goals. Lincoln demonstrated this by in 1858 after he lost to Stephen A. Douglas for a Senate position. What he wrote was, "The case for civil liberty cannot be surrendered at the end of 1 or even 100 defeats." This persistence to achieve his goal is really apparent. Of course, he won the presidency pretty soon later on. So we really think as a group that for us to achieve our goals and to be successful, it's really important for us to look at failures as a stepping stone, and we learn from it and never give up. And Timmy can tell us more about it.
Alright, one of the things Lincoln said was what you put in, you get out. And his first thing he said is your goals will fail unless you work at them every day. So personally, I wanted to grow my relationship with God, and I decided to go to church every now and then, read my Bible every now and then, but didn't see much progress with it. So then I decided to get disciplined and do it like every day, read my Bible every day, and spend some time every day doing that. And I saw some big progress because I was disciplined about it. Another thing he said was half-finished work is a waste of time. This past weekend I wanted to clean my house, so I started with my room. Then I got distracted and started cleaning the dishes, and then I started vacuuming, and after like 2 hours I looked around, I had a bunch of half-finished jobs with everything done. So be focused with what you do, and if you're going to start something, finish it. Mike's going to finish us off.
Yeah, so you guys can probably see your BHAGs as a sequence of milestones towards a large goal that you want to accomplish. So, as you know, that my BHAG is to win the Microsoft Imagine Cup. You'll notice that this is kind of my certification roadmap for this year. Green items you might see as foundational knowledge. Blue items are strictly Microsoft knowledge that are going to be used to support my BHAG. And gray items are kind of academia related. So I finished my degree and this part of the CPA exam. You see that my professional development plan extends far beyond my initial BHAG this semester. So really, just to recap, your Big Hairy Audacious goal is a big goal. And you want to turn your BHAG into smaller milestones to place individual efforts. And if this is the BHAG, the organization, you want to use your subordinates to work on smaller milestones to support that larger BHAG.
2 minutes.
Yeah, you really want to use your milestones to help measure your results, and the accomplishment of those milestones is really paramount in achieving your overall goal. And you want to use your results, your milestones, to help refine your plan. As you know, as you get farther along in the project, you might realize you have a scope change, or you have certain setbacks which might cause you to have to rethink your plan. Then you can really take those as you need to. Ultimately, we rounded out with the Lincoln principles. These are summarized pretty well on the last page of the chapter. But ultimately, you want to unite your followers around common goals, or you might want to use a common goal to unite yourself. Guide subordinates with short-term goals. You may also guide yourself with short-term goals. If you have really big obstacles, sometimes it's best not to go through them because it's going to take a lot more time than if you were to go around them, in which case you can still probably achieve the same result. You want to maintain a strong sense of urgency. It means you always want to be moving forward, and you always want to be really working hard. And it really leads us into our capstone point that a strategy alone won't achieve your goals. You really have to put a lot of effort into it. And so you might have a plan, you might lay it out for the next 6 to 8 months, but if you really don't work your plan, then you're never going to achieve your goal.